probably the number one thing you need to do when you think you're going to go down this route is you have to have somebody that understands it. And there's nothing against agents, other agents. There's amazing agents all over, but there's just a lot of moving parts. And you need somebody that's gone through it, that knows how to basically run some numbers and help you put a team together, a high-level team in a short period of time, and they can hold your hand through some of it. It's such a important thing to have.
Absolutely. I would definitely say because even just the framework, right? Because you understand you've had to go through these processes yourself. And also there's part of it that a lot of people forget is the feasibility of these projects. You can probably get a good inkling of how it's all going to work out other than actually doing the actual tests and things from your agent or the people on your team. I think you just have to understand, work with numbers, right? Because emotion is going to get you caught in some ways. And so as much as we love to keep it and it's a beautiful home now that it's put together, I think learning those things along the way, you just got to move with it, right? Because if you don't, then you're going to get stuck on, I'm going to be still in the same spot. So I know we haven't reached our next phase, but I think in the mindset of understanding where are we going next, how is it going to help us get there? And like you said, in 10 years time, is this one house going to matter? Yeah, it will mean a difference, but we have 2 houses that we can count on that we've now built that are going to create that financial freedom for ourselves. So I think it's the idea of being really flexible, like you said, and just having the right people along the way.
I'm Stephen Husted, and you're listening to the Breakthrough Podcast, a space designed for clarity, curiosity, and the stories that move us. Here, we step away from the noise and into the moments that define us, the early influences, the hidden struggles, and the breakthroughs that reshape our lives. From personal reinvention to building a life through real estate and entrepreneurship, these conversations remind us that success isn't a straight line. It's a series of honest decisions, brave actions, and small shifts that change everything. This is where those stories live. Let's begin. Today's guest is Edmond Bondoc, a real estate investor, developer, and agent based in the Seattle area who specializes in helping clients identify properties with development potential and create long-term wealth through real estate. Edmond is currently navigating his own development projects, including transforming a single-family home into a multi-unit property with attached and detached dwelling units. Along the way, he's learned firsthand about permitting, construction, financing, and the realities of building in one of the country's most competitive housing markets. In this episode, we talk about Seattle's unique development opportunities, how investors can create additional value through AD use and condoization, and why having the right team can make or break a project. We also dive into financing strategies, common mistakes new developers make, and the mindset required to take action even when you don't have all the answers. Let's get into it.
Cool. We're live.
There we go.
Thank you, Edmond, for jumping on today. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. I appreciate you having me, Stephen.
Yeah, we got you on quick too, right?
We sure did.
I was reading the email. You're like, wow, that was quick. I'm like, get Edmond on now.
There we go.
Yeah. So let's jump right into how you and I met and what we do out in Seattle. Let's go a little bit on a deep dive on what we do as far as developments. I have other things I want to talk about, but let's get right into this one because this is kind of fresh. We're kind of both going through a lot of different projects at different points, and we're learning a lot as we go along, which is a huge part of doing developments out in Seattle. So what do you got on the plate right now? What are you currently working through, and what type of issues are you going through?
Yeah. So I'm fortunate that right now, I'll give you the high level of, we have a 3-month-old. So just a little bit over 3 months, she's been starting to move and groove on her own stuff. And we actually have a project that is, I think this week, we're going to be in final approval of having the ADUs that we're building. So bought a single family home and we have 2 ADUs being built or have been built now. One's attached, one's detached. And that's going to be the coolest part is we're in on that project probably about 7 months this month. So having that 3-month-old and the 7 months of this project is like, man, there's a lot that's gone into this, as you can imagine. And thankfully, pretty smooth, I think, with the building process, thankfully, because with being a first-time parent, it's, man, I don't know what to expect, right? So much goes into that. I'd say the challenges of that we're kind of facing, though, is that what's next, right? Because we want to look for our next home, right? Our project home. And we're in the mindset of we're in the accumulation phase right now. So if we can get those two stabilized and rented out here, right, shortly, once they're complete, then we're going to be looking for another home where we can move into and hopefully have some value add and then also add units in the future, right? So that's our next step of like, how do we put all those pieces together? Like sometimes we think about going right to it, but I think this is one where we want to make sure that we do the right step. So we have our daughter with a home that we can appreciate for the next couple of years at least.
Real estate is a very long journey and it's a puzzle and it's always changing.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, if I had to look back to the early days of investing to now, it's changed so much. And it's going to be interesting to hear from you in 10 years on where, you know what I mean? That journey could change. You could be doing different things. The strategy changes. But as far as what this deal you're talking about, walk me through what you did from acquisition, going through that whole process to where you are today.
Yeah. So it's about probably now 2, maybe 3 years back now, we were starting in the space of trying to find our next home. And for my wife and I, now married, we decided, hey, we're going to go and scour all the neighborhoods in Seattle, drive for dollars and figure out where we can find these leads that are, as what everyone talks about, fixers, find these with big lots, find space. And we were just finding them online, right? MLS just wasn't cutting it. So as you and I both know, we had to find people that had those deals. In our case, we were able to drive for dollars, and I came across this house and it's just overgrown. Just didn't look like somebody was really doing anything with it. Cars parked out there. And so I went up there, door knocked it, no one was home, right? So it's one of those vacant homes type thing, or just someone wasn't there. And so I left a note there and tried following them up with a cold call. Nothing happened. Long story short, I started mailing a little bit here and there, and they actually responded a couple months out. And they said, hey, I saw your mailer. I'm interested in selling to you guys. Love your story. And so we go out there and meet with them just to kind of get a feeler of, are they serious? So they talked to us about this property, and fast forward everything, they decided they weren't going to go forward with the sale. Because they're like, you know what? We've put a lot of money into this. Let's go ahead and pause this. And I was like, okay. Fast forward, 6 months go by, and they're like, hey, we really want to sell now. What changed? They're like, we're $200,000 deep in this property, and our contractor is not finishing the project. So we go back, and this house is still kind of an array of things like that. Some progress, obviously. And now they extended this property, added this whole second area in the home, which turns out to be a pretty good spot. So it's a 3-bed, 2-bath now, 1,100 square feet. We went in and said, okay, we're going to buy it as is, buy it with a renovation loan, 5% down, where we bought it for $700, put in about $100,000 into it for all our own work. And with our contractor, completed it probably in 2 or 3 months. And so after that, we were able to get this whole brand new-ish home, right? Move into it. And we had the intention of, okay, we're going to build in the backyard eventually. So we started that process. And from probably about 6 to 8 months going through permitting, we were eventually able to get it off the ground. And I think we started in September of last year that we broke ground to build the 2 ADUs. And now we're in May here to essentially look at the final products there. Now it's just landscaping. So we're right on the cusp of getting them rented is the next goal. So
yeah, that's amazing. It's so cool. It's cool to get it to this point too and actually see the vision come to light. But
100%.
What did you learn during the permitting process? If you can give me a couple examples, because I know you learned a lot.
Yeah.
I know you learned a lot. Where do we start here? We could do a whole episode on this, but what did you really, what some things?
100%. So I think the first place, as you and I both know, is like having an architect that understands what you're doing, right? So for us, I think part of it was the lagging portion of, hey, we want to get the front house done properly and then go through the permitting because we didn't want them to conflict. But the design portion of it is great. Like they designed really well, but the idea of actually creating what you want as a product for a rental as well as something desirable, you got to have someone that knows what they're doing. Because also they're going to take time, right? It's going to take longer than you might expect. So for us, thankfully, they weren't on the busier side as they are now as the person that we've worked with together. And I'd still work with them today. I think the process was just that in the permitting, you start to find that there's so many more details that you need to have. So I think one of the conflicts that we had, well, kind of confusions, I guess, that we went through is that the designs weren't exactly up to where sizing wise, what we wanted. So for example, if we didn't go with the builder to understand the size of the bathrooms,scapes and things like that, we would probably have custom everything, right? But bringing in our builder, they said, let's do standard size shower pans. Let's do standard size closets. If you don't have that perspective and you put your plans into the permitting phase already, you're going to have to go back and do those corrections. And we hit corrections, I think 2 or 3 times because we used a couple of people that we first time using them, right? And we just had to go through whether it's structural or civil work. Water is a big thing here in Seattle, obviously. So we had to figure out how to get the water draining outward. So when you think about all the big picture, all these little things add up, right? And takes time. So I think our permitting process could have been 3 months, but it ended up being closer to 6 or 7, which is a kind of longer phase than most people want to do.
I beat you on that. So look.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I bet you did.
Jeez. The one thing about development is you need to be highly organized. You have to be completely engaged with your team every week. Even when you think there isn't time to be engaging, you should be engaging. And you're going to know at the very end of it that no matter how hard you try to make everything perfect, it's not going to be that way.
100%. Yep.
It isn't.
True.
You have to really roll with the punches in a lot of ways. One that we finished, I looked at it when it was all done, and with the plans coming from the architect, I was like looking at the primary closet. It was so big, right? It was a good size, but then when I saw it completed, and then I realized one of the bedrooms could have been a little bigger if we would have shifted everything down. The closet had enough room, we could have took a foot off and made the bedrooms bigger. And those are just things you find out at the end. And what I always tell people is there's no perfect house. I don't care if you buy $500,000, $5 million. You can go in there and find something that you don't like. It's just, it's the beauty of development and building. You know what I mean? Do you go through that too? At the end, you're like, oh, I wish we should have done this.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, even yesterday we had our walkthrough with our builder and we just talked about the simple thing, right? We could have moved the closet a little bit further over in the bedroom so that the laundry closet on the other side of the wall could have more clearance. Because now it's not that it's an issue, but it's so close to the door handle. You're like, if it starts to shake a little bit, it might just touch the door. So just keep that in mind of, hey, just give yourself more allowances, right? Those things that you don't know until you realize on site, things change from those measurements and things like that.
They do, yeah. And it's interesting with measurements because you can go based on the average. Oh, this is an average size bedroom or this is an average size primary, right? And you can get those, but once it's put together, you could tweak it out a little bit.
Yeah,
exactly. And one of my business partners, Alicia, she's a designer. So it's all measurements. It's everything. And so she's really honed me in on things where I'm more of the bigger picture. But it's funny when you get done, you're like, damn. So what are some bigger learning lessons you went through?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, in the whole big picture, looking at, because initially our thought was we're going to have this whole project and we're going to have all 3 units to be rented out afterwards, right? I think part of the development phase that you come to realize is there's a lot of cash intensity, right? Yeah. So a lot of things that need capital. And that I don't think we are behind the 8 ball on this one, thankfully, but the concept of knowing that we have to shift on our plans, like you said, we roll with the punches. So our front house, the single family home that was existing, we're planning on selling from that property, right? And so I think you just have to understand, work with numbers, right? Because emotion is it's going to get you caught in some ways. And so as much as we'd love to keep it and it's a beautiful home now that it's put together, I think learning those things along the way, you just got to move with it, right? Because if you don't, then you're going to get stuck on, I'm going to be still in the same spot. So I know we haven't reached our next phase, but I think in the mindset of understanding where are we going next, how is it going to help us get there? And like you said, in 10 years time, is this one house going to matter? Yeah, it will mean a difference, but we have 2 houses that we can count on that we've now built that are going to create that financial freedom for ourselves. So I think it's the idea of being really flexible, like you said, and just having the right people along the way. I think other biggest lesson is we help clients as well go through these projects, and we can only help so much, right? And sometimes they want to do their own way, which is great. They're learning for themselves too. Having the right people in your team helps so much, right? Because when you see they deviate from maybe your direction of what you suggest, there's things that cost time, right? And so it's not the, hey, I decided to do this and it's going to cost time here, but now you're going to cost time later on, right? Like, for example, being with the right builder, I think we chose really well. We paid maybe on a more premium cost, but now everything's been so smooth. Like I said, we had a 3-month-old during the time, and it's been really smooth in that side. But you see other clients where they've chosen a different builder for the lower cost. Now they're paying for it in the time that they're going to take for the permitting, the build, and so many other things. So I think the learning lesson there is that you got to pay for that, what your value that you're going to receive out of it, right? No quality matters sometimes more than the time or the cost that it looks like. So it's huge.
It's huge. Yeah, I've learned that. I've learned that lesson many of times over the years, for sure. And you really touched on something. I want to say that there's a couple things. I think a lot of people in Seattle area, I don't know if everybody understands how good of an opportunity they have when it comes to buying a house. And I'll give you an example. So let's say my wife got transferred to Apple in Seattle, and so we're moving. So we go out there. I could go out there and literally buy a house with a basement, nice size lot, fix up the main house, build out the basement, move into it, live, right? And then split off the lot, build, sell it, roughly make $300K, give or take, depending.
Yeah.
Take that money that I put as the down payment on the main house, put it right back in my bank account, or continue to do it and do something very similar to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like this strategy, you guys have something so special in front of you. I'm always wondering, does everybody really understand? Because you would understand if you lived in San Jose, like how amazing that opportunity is. And you don't need to have all the answers. You need to have the will and the vision to go through it and set a long-term horizon amongst your partner or whoever is involved, and get that right team. What you just said, have that team in place. Because if you have a solid team, the education is going to happen within 1 year. It's almost like you went to a university for 1 year. You are going to, you're going to learn. You're going to learn from your architect. You're going to learn from your contractor, your property manager, your agent. All these people are going to be feeding you information. You hired them. That's your learning thing. And it's I think you could do this out in San Diego and LA. It's tougher where I'm at to pull it. I mean, I wish I could. I try.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still with you. That's why my wife was asking me this on Sunday. I was like, I can't believe that we got 5 houses out in Seattle and 13 into development. One's finished in 2 years. But I can't find one project in San Jose that fits. It's sort of nuts.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, to add on to that, it's that same thought, right? I know, as you mentioned, it's starting to expand everywhere else, right? These possibilities of development, but also separation. I think that key part in Seattle is that you can separate lots like that, right? And understanding how that works as it's condoization, right? We have something that's already been done many times over to other buildings to separating the usage and shared spaces. But for us, we can actually do that. And I know that's coming for other areas, but like you said, may not be for San Jose. And the other piece that you touched on is like the people that we get to surround ourselves with, right? That's how we met, right? We got to know each other through our good friend Ian. And it's because of people like that, we get to meet people like yourself who are doing the projects. We're getting ourselves, as they always talk about, rubbing each other against elbows, right? And figuring out, hey, you're going through this stuff as much as I am, and we can help each other figure out how can we do it better, right? As well as how can we feed each other deals, right? As we talked about earlier, deals are everywhere. You just got to have the right mindset and also the people around you to help you get to those. So
absolutely,
I think that's been super invaluable. The team itself is one, but also having the people that are in your ear, around you, surrounding you about what to do with this stuff is key too. So
and getting the right ones around you.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely,
you can get around the wrong ones too.
Very much.
And that can derail you in all types of different ways too.
Yeah, I know we talked about, and we don't have to dive into it, but there's some good people out there, obviously, and you likewise know good people. Sometimes there's not good business around it. So you got to know that part too.
Yeah, and that sometimes either you connect with somebody who's been going down that route that can do a little bit of mentorship in one way or another, so that they can kind of put those signals out. Because I remember when I first met Ian, he connected me to my contractor, and I knew that he was speaking in these groups. And so the first thing I went back to Ian, I said, okay, is he going to be able to take this on? Because I understand that once you start to speak at groups, you get a lot of business. A lot of people want to work with you. And people don't want to say no. And so they take it on, and then things can go sideways if you don't have a good subs and whatever going on. When you get that over experience, you learn that as time goes on because you've gone through it.
100%. And I think that's a key part in a lot of our successes is over time, you've got to learn how to say no, right? Because otherwise you're going to say yes too much and you're going to lose the opportunities in other ways, that the quality of what, again, we talked about quality, right? You got to say no for the right reasons and keep the quality ones around. So
absolutely. So I want to touch on this we can put this out there on what we do as far as condoizing, and how do we get a single family home and then get a couple units and then we're able to sell those off or keep them as rentals, and how do we get financing on those? What are we doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just talking about like a single family home. You find a lot in Seattle. Ideally, you want to have access, right? Some way to get to maybe a part of the lot. So for our properties, most of them have been, you've got a single family home on one side of the lot, and then the other side, you have a backyard or side yard that's available. For my specific property, we've got a side driveway to get to the backyard where we're able to put 2 units. And on the whole lot, we'll put a condominium setup where the single family home will be 1 unit and the 2 other units in the back will be their own units, right? And they'll have a common area, which is the driveway. And so very similar as a condominium that we see in buildings and so forth. They have shared spaces. It's just whether they have common walls and things like that. But now that they're separate, they can also have their own tax ID numbers and funding, right? Mortgages, liens on the property. For my project, we have a single family home, which has a lien on itself with a normal 30-year mortgage. And on the backside, because we're building them, we have a new construction loan, right? And so, as you mentioned, there's many ways to finance deals. One of the financing options that we use is essentially because they understand single family development in Seattle, Springboard Funding does this program where essentially they say, okay, well, if you have a free and clear lot, in this case, those separate 2 units, they're separate from the front house, their own tax ID numbers. We can put the valuation of the land and use that as your collateral to fund the rest of the deal. So in theory, you're at 0 down using the land as collateral, and then the rest of it is funded through that. As long as your builder can provide you a detailed line item of how is this going to be built, they'll fund you based off of that and give you draws throughout the process. So you're essentially using money that you have and then build part of it. They reimburse you and you go through that until it's completed. And so we're right here on the spot of, like I said, almost completed. And essentially that whole process, just drawing through money, gets you to where you can have a finished product.
And how did you approach those draws when the payments started going up? Did you have that money set aside in an account and those were a part of your reserves? Because you did bring up that development is capital intensive for a very long period of time as well.
Very much. Yeah.
So did you underwrite the main house and the whole Dadu project in the back and put all that money to the side because you knew at some point you're going to take draws, the payments were going to go up, and you knew you're going to go 6 months? So did you calculate all that?
Yeah, great question. So we initially were like, okay, we know we're going to get the project of the backyard, but we didn't understand the financing. So again, learning lessons along the way, right? And so the front house, thankfully, is very much on its own island. Essentially, we're funded through the mortgage that we purchased it with, rehab loan, and now it's a 30-year fixed. For the backyard, we essentially have other properties that we were able to have our HELOCs on so that we can just pull lines of credit to draw money from there to pay for these essentially invoices that we have from our contractors and then reimburse ourselves. And we've kind of been going through a cycle of that. We had initial capital reserves for things, but because of the intensity of it, you want to keep yourself also liquid on your own scale. So we've been using these lines of credit to kind of insulate ourselves from having to go too far into our reserves and just kind of cycling through that until the reimbursements will hit back so that the funding continues on everything going forward.
The lines of credit are a big scenario that most people that want to get in development should have. Just for the fact that if you can tap into an equity line at 8% instead of 11% on hard money draw, take the equity line and play that
Right.
one out for a while. And then once you get your first couple draws in, you can replenish, like you said. And it's just a game of numbers and interest rates and timelines.
Very much. 100%. And I'll even throw another tidbit out there is if people are savvy enough to go and find other ways of lines of credit, because like you said, it's all numbers, right? We are fortunate to have like a insurance-backed line of credit on the life insurance policy. We can get multiple of those, right? But we were able to get that at a 5% rate, and it continues to be 5%,
Ooh.
right? So if you can fund those types of things over time, you get multiple policies, obviously, depending on your funding strategy. 5% beats almost every day any of those other lines of credit, right? And the cool part about that is the benefit for yourself in the long run. And it's something that what they call infinite banking in some ways.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that one. It's a good little tidbit there. I like that. I'm gonna look into that.
Do it, man. I will say, let me know if you need a guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. What is the mindset that a new investor that wants to get into development needs?
That's a good one. I'd say we kind of touched upon a couple of these things is knowing that you can do it first off, right? And you don't have to know it all is the key part, right? Is I always go back to the idea of imperfect action beats perfect planning. I myself as a analytical person always kind of go into that, oh man, I need to get this everything perfect. But realistically, if you take those actions, you'll have something much more perfect in your actions rather than that plan, because the plan will never go if you don't execute. And so I think the idea is that you got to realize that as you continue to learn and grow, be willing to learn, right? Because everything is a part of the process. It's a feedback rather than a failure, right? So if you continue to move that forward, and then, like we said, surround yourself with the right people, hire possibly a mentor or a course that you can learn how to do what you want to do. It's the idea of if you already know what you want to be and you see that person out there, a role model, why not take those same steps that they're doing it, right? If they're real to what they're talking about, they will teach you, right? They will, through their ways or their coursework, they'll teach you, hey, this is what you need to do. And I think very much alignment towards the program that I'm in, Springboard, Thatch being one of the main leaders, and Stephanie, they just have this whole program that allows for you to understand it's not about just getting real estate, right? It's the mindset. It's what we are able to create from that. And that's how I met Ian. That's how I met you. It's like you see this network of people that have this mindset because we all want the same thing, right? It's not because we want the money. It's because we want the freedom and option of choice to decide what we do with our time, right? Because ultimately, if you don't have that, then you're continuously working, right? Why not enjoy it? Help other people while you're doing it. So
yeah, absolutely. Cool. You're so right on that. And I think that we're in an era right now when it comes to investing and just personal development, like no other. I mean, this is not what was going on 10 years ago. You wouldn't connect in groups and you go back 10, 15 years. I remember when I first wanted to invest, you had to go to conferences. They had CDs that you got and you just went home. Everybody was and I've said this before on podcasts in the past, everything was really siloed. There wasn't really investor groups and you really didn't know about it. It's funny because people talk about all these different strategies now and, well, this one's hot now. This is good and this is good. No, they've all been around for a very long time. It's just that now we have social media that people can put out information. But it also creates a lot of what direction should I go?
100%. A lot of noise is out there.
A lot of noise. And that's one thing about our little group and everybody I've met. I don't end up going out any further. When I have the group, I just go, okay, I have all these smart people in different things, right? And they're all doing cool things. And I feel like they're good people. And I just stay in there. I just don't. I don't leave because I think that's how you grow and you get better because everybody else is doing different things or going through things, learning. I think it's a powerful thing to be able to lock into a group, pick a strategy, and learn as you go.
Absolutely. And I think a big thing that people don't realize is that if you dig deeper into things rather than wider, I always think about an analogy that I think Brandon Turner once said. It was like, well, are you going to take the one bridge that's going to get you across the island, or are you going to try to take these multiple bridges that don't connect to anything, right? So if you think about that, it's again that dive deeper, dig deeper, whatever you want to call it, versus many holes, you actually will get to your goal, right? You've figured it out. along the way, maybe it's not the one that you want, and you shift, right? You make that shift, but you're not actually multitasking. You're kind of separating your mind and everything. So focus in on something, and like I said, surround yourself to the point where you have these people that are going to the same path. Makes it so much easier and also enjoyable too, because then you're not like, hey man, like you said, siloed in on your own thing, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Am I doing it right? I think we a lot of, as you as an agent as well, I think we find ourselves in that, right? Like we're like, man, we have all these clients and people, but there's all these people we can collaborate with, right? It doesn't have to be competition. It's just a matter of how we operate and help each other. Obviously, there's privacy and things for our clients, but realistically, is if you can be willing to help and open to other people, solutions are all around you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It's true. You just have to have the will. You have to have the will to persevere through things. You're getting these finished.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to keep them as rentals. The reason why you're keeping those as rentals, let me just guess. The loan amounts, you can hit the 1% rule, but the main house has the higher debt on it. And so even though you're living in it, you just want to even get that out of the way. Would you make money on the main house? Or are you just going to break even and then all the profit is sitting in the two new ones?
Yeah. So I think you hit it on the head. Very much the plan, or at least numbers wise from the beginning, and hopefully we'll see this in the appraisals, refinances, is that the ADUs themselves being new construction, hopefully they won't have a lot of capital expenditures over time, but it's, hey, they should be rent ready for a long time, being ready to go. And they should have that 1% rule. And then from the front side, very much because we got into 5% down, even if we put more down for over time, I think it just be the offsetting of the mortgage is not going to ever meet it unless we get a rates down in the 3s and 2s or whatever it is, which obviously is not going to likely happen in for, if not a while, if not forever. So the numbers part is the key part. And I think so far in my projections, I like to be conservative on things. I think we'll be probably right around break even. If there's a little bit of a loss, I think it's going to be a loss for the big win, right? Because like you said, we're having quite the equity on the ADUs that are new builds, but also just the idea of we got to move forward in our path, right? It's not something that we got to get stuck by. So I'm hedging around from our appraisal previously when they were separated. It was about 820. I was saying, hey, as long as we can get close to 800, I think we're in a good shape to move on and keep it going. So
for people that are listening, the play is typically break even on the main house. And if you're building one or two in the backyard, you could get in equity, depending on if you keep them as a rental, if you sell it. For two, you could have essentially 550 to 600 in equity. Just, it really depends on, a lot of it comes down to location, obviously, because that build cost can be the same throughout Seattle, but location can give you a better after repair value and a better sale price.
100%. Yep. And then rents, of course, as well, reflects directly into that. So, yep.
Yeah, so we just finished that one on this. I guess you could call this good news, bad news. We finished, and this is the one that I could tell you the story of that now of why we almost didn't even do this podcast this morning, because I woke up at 4 a.m. freaking out on things. But the 125th Daddy was finished. It appraised for $750. So we got $300K in equity. Great.
There you go.
Refinanced it. But we're having problems with the city with electrical connection, and they changed. We have to infiltrate on site. So that happened after the fact. So we scrambled. We went back to the architect. We redesigned. We submitted. They approved it. We paid. But now we're waiting for the inspector to issue the permit to actually start. I'm confused on that part.
Whoa.
I'm really confused. And we're just been sitting. And I'll be honest, it's been 2 months. And it was at least 9 months with City Light on connection. And then, but what really happened was we started planning for the rest of the lot. And so the city started seeing things like, oh, wait a minute here. You got a single family and you build a dadu in the backyard. But now we see in here you're building 6 more. Oh, you need to do everything, all the underground electricals all underground. It just started opening up a can of worms. That was kind of, we didn't realize it, but that's what happened. And we're working with the architect. And the architects, they're not losing money. They're just
Right.
building along, right? That's their job, right? They're just moving it through planning. But instead, they're like, oh, we want you to change this. And the going underground is going to cost us $120,000.
Yeah.
But it's okay, $120,000. You either do it or you don't, and you just have raw land. So you take one of those units and you just use that for like utilities and carrying costs and all those things. That's going to eat up that, and then you get your profit on the other ones. But
Yeah, there you go.
it's been so crazy. And I woke up at 4 a.m. going, what the heck is going on? Where are we at on this? And so I've blown up the contractor, and now I'm getting those guys' numbers. I'm going, it's funny that we had permits in place. We scrambled, we made payments, and they're just taking their time. We'll get to you when you get to you.
Right.
It's costed so much money. So we are losing money right now. It's sitting vacant.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's the key part. Like we talked about earlier, right? It's you realize there's so much capital that needs to be reserved for things that you don't expect. At the same time, there's things that are out of our control completely within this permitting process. I know you touched on, for example, infiltration. Sometimes that can change your whole plans completely. And then second one is the Seattle City Light. I mean, it's just unfortunate that it seems more and more people that we talk to have run into issues with them because they just don't have, I wouldn't say the sense of urgency, but they don't have maybe a way to allocate where their projects are, right? So that people can hopefully get them in line in their queue, or at the same time, get more people, right? If you have this many projects, don't you want the infrastructure to go further along? Don't you want all these developments to actually occur? Because otherwise, you're not going to get the housing that you're asking for, right? So,
and that's such the big part of it. I mean, we're here in your community doing what you need.
mm-hmm.
You got to make it a little bit more streamlined for us as investors, because I think the problem is they really don't realize time and money
Mm-hmm.
because they're not an investor for the most part, right? So it's to them, it's you're on the list. You're on the cancellation list. I'm like, we've been on the cancellation list, the City Light. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And in the beginning, I set the tone with my business partner on everything. This could happen. And we planned for it in a very strategic way on this particular project. We self-funded the DADU all the way to 90% so that we could absorb, because I was planning ahead on the utility connection, going,
there you go.
There could be an issue here, so let's do this.
Yeah.
And here we are, I'm going through that issue, but I like to tell people about it. And I think another thing for anyone who wants to start to do a development is when you're underwriting these deals, when you're starting with, because it's almost like it's a 2 to 3 phase approach. You're approaching the main house, you're approaching the backyard, the basement if you have a basement. You need to understand everything. People go, oh, it's 350 to 400, 450 a square foot. There's taxes on that.
Right.
You have landscaping, you have fences, and you have appliances, and you have timelines. And you need to have all of that in your underwriting from the beginning, day one.
Right.
Day one. And you need to go out there and look, am I putting up a new fence? Am I going to be able to negotiate that with my neighbor? How's that going to play out? Mm-hmm. We're playing Russian roulette with a neighbor right now.
Oh, man.
It's falling down. And I told the tenant, I go, hey, you upset there's no fence? She's, I am. Oh, you should tell your property manager. Tell him.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll help out. We'll meet you halfway. And they're just kind of playing it out. And every time I go out there, I go, are you going to get this done? And can you get a bid? Sure. Because I'm like, I want to split it. But you need to factor in that if you have to do 3 sides, you could be paying $15,000 depending on the lot size.
Very much. Yep. Yeah.
Another 5 with appliances and some landscaping. Now you could be into $50,000. So you really have to paint that picture up front, not just, oh, this is my bid and I'm going to build this house. Wait, it's $350 a square foot. No, you got taxes too. Oh,
yeah, exactly. I think a good point of what you touched on here and the whole scope of these items is that we had one of our rentals. We had our neighbor actually was willing to share our costs on one of the fences, and it was because one of the other neighbors was like planning on selling. We didn't know this until they obviously sold, but they asked all the neighbors, "Hey, we can go ahead and get all these fences done if you want to share in the costs, bring it down," type of thing. And so like, yeah, great. The neighbor that was willing to do it, let's do it. We didn't think about it, but if again, like you said, if you planned ahead and knew, hey, let's earmark a little bit more, we had another fence that it looked fine, but over time you realize it wasn't fine, right? So that fence fell over in a windstorm that following winter. And we're like, okay, we have to replace this. The neighbor didn't want to do anything with it. So I was like, great, we'll just take care of it because we've got tenants there. We're not going to deal with this. We'd rather have them happy, right? So it's like those things that you said, if you think about the big picture, plan for ways you can save your money by doing it all one way, right? And at the same time, think of these things that will need to be done, right? Because like you said, landscaping, a lot of people don't think about landscaping until it's already there. And you're like, wait, why doesn't it look nice? Well, it's not in your bid. You didn't ask for these things, right? And the taxes, right? Taxes, you ought to always account for taxes. Even if they don't have in their bid, hey, make sure you've got something in there for yourself because otherwise that number blows up a little bit for you.
And taxes, property taxes too, during your project. Yeah. Let's catch that one. Mm-hmm. I haven't really heard anybody bring this up online, but once you condoize and you're still building or you're still trying to stabilize and put a tenant in, guess what you're getting too? You're getting property tax bills.
Taxes.
They're not big, but I mean, $1,000 and you got two of them, you got 2,000 right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. They all add in. They sneak up on you.
They do. It's like an ongoing thing. So now that you got your little family going, like how do you bring that into this whole equation? Because I say this all the time. I work very hard and all I'm trying to do is set up my daughter for the future.
I love that.
I mean, and I don't know if she really understands the level of what I do, but it is purely for her.
Right.
So how do you bring that into your mindset of like how you build this all out?
Yeah, I think it kind of comes back to the very beginning of everything is I was fortunate to have a family that, well, we didn't have everything, we had family, right? And people always looked after each other. I lost my mom at a young age. I think I was like 5 or so. And so my dad being a single parent, we had other aunts and uncles and different, like our grandparents come into the picture to help and such. But I grew really close with my siblings, right? And so I think the growing up with them, learning that we were looking after one another because dad can't always do it. And it kind of translated into this future part, right? Into, like you said, all those people that come into play of how they've helped you. My goal with all this is that we create one, financial freedom for ourselves, and the abundance that comes from it allows for us to then give back to those people that have been there for us, right? And also just to create that, like you said, the legacy for the future for now our daughter. Hopefully in the future, she understands that we want to also live and enjoy our life, explore things, not have material things. It's more of like, how do we enjoy the experiences, how to be good humans, right? Because I think we all forget at the end of the day, we're all human. We have goals, dreams, and things like that. Why not look after one another, right? So for us, it's a matter of how do we create that for ourselves and our family? And then along the way in our journey, help others learn how to do this themselves and also help them along the way to make it happen. So for us, it's this cool kind of a synergy of a life cycle of how do we create it for ourselves to help others also do it for themselves too.
The helping others is such the, I don't think you could put a price tag on that. It's pretty rewarding.
100% is.
I have to say, it's cool to watch people kind of start to take off on things.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you like look at it too and you're like, man, even if you don't get credit for it, you're like the cool parts of being a part of that. And you're like, really cool to see where the people lead off to, right? Like you said, you're like, man, I knew that you had it in you. Maybe you just need a spark or a push from the right direction, and we're here to help. So
yeah, absolutely. So I talk to Roman a lot. Like we're like in a relationship at this point. We have these like morning talks and these like evening talks when he's driving home from Seattle. He's in a mastermind group, I think, through Ryan Pineda, and he's talking about things. And I'm like, dude, you need to start putting out some content. And it started when I bought that first property in Seattle. We met and I like got him on camera one time and then kept trying to get him to go more and more. And finally I was just putting, he wanted to do it and he's doing it now. And I'm like, dude, just stop putting just record a bunch of content, record your day. I go, you're in the greatest position. You're a contractor. You run around to job sites. Just go talk about your job sites.
Right.
Just talk about what you do and just throw it
Yeah.
online. Don't put too much thought into it. Get these mics, and people want to get inspired by others. And that's the way you do it. You out of the equation and just understand it's for them,
Mm-hmm.
and let other people go on that path too. And that's what's so cool. There's some bad things about social media, but this is the thing that is really cool. You can get you going
Right.
quick. So,
Absolutely. And I will add to that to say, I mean, I appreciate obviously you having me on this because it's that same thought, right? You didn't have to invite me to this at all. And it's the cool part of we want to help enrich others, right? And show people that it's possible. And speaking for myself, I think I'm an everyday guy, right? I want to help people learn a lot of this stuff so we can also do it our own. But realistically, it's all information that's already out there, right? We just are gathering it and helping people understand in our own way, how can we make that happen for them, right? And so, like you said, Roman good people, it's, man, there's so much wisdom that can be shared if you're just willing to take away the I portion of things. And I know I'm trying to work my own social media to be even bigger, to not just be a bigger platform, but more so like, how can I just be a human, right? Again, a person that's willing to help others and share this information, because everyone's out there trying to reach their goals. They just need a person like you that's going to be there to help them, right? So
right.
again, thank you for having me. That's a cool part of the whole transition of all this stuff.
Oh, I appreciate you it's funny because sometimes I put it out to people and they're like, I don't know, man. I'm like, just jump on.
Yeah.
You're great.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
let's go. Let's do it. What is your favorite part of living in Seattle?
If I had to take away the first part of being family is very close, I'd say it's probably going to be like the weather and the climate, right? And I don't know if it's maybe just because I'm biased to it, but anytime I go travel places and I enjoy the warm sunshine, or I don't mind the rain here, but we have the mountains. We've got the sound, which is kind of like the sea here. And it's just one of those things, we get all the elements of throughout all the seasons. And it's never all the same, because every year, some years will get really hot and some years are mild. This year right now, it's pretty warm. It's 80 degrees outside. But it's the cool part of having that experience of enjoying all those things and having the people, right? We have a good mix of food, cultures, and all that. And I enjoy food to the point of traveling. We try the different foods for that purpose. And so I think Seattle has got a good melting pot of that. I know there's other areas that have it, but man, if you come out to Seattle summertime, it's beautiful. As you've come out here many times, it's kind of hard to beat sometimes. And then you get the winters and you get to go in the snow and have fun there. So I'd say it's going to be the environment, the weather that we have here.
It's funny when you just said that, like the weather and the climate. And it's like the biggest talking point that we have with everybody that I know in San Jose, just where I live. They're like, you're going to move there? And I'm like, look, if I get up in the morning and I look outside and I see gray clouds, I'm like, am I going to go out there? Such a baby. What a California. But I'm California. I live in San Jose. I mean, the weather's great all the time. And in Seattle, you're right. The summer is, oh man, it's so amazing. I just went there on my last trip. Bainbridge, the island.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. Ferry, took the ferry over there, went, had lunch, kicked back there. It was so cool. It was really cool too, to watch how people live. They live on that island. They come, sit at a light. The ferry comes. They drive their car on. They go upstairs. They read. One dude was running the upper part of the thing and walking. It was funny. And then they go to do things in Seattle, and then they just take the ferry back. That's part of their life. It was just kind of cool. It's different because I'm not used to that, but it's so beautiful there.
Yeah,
the mounds, and it's so green.
I will say there's that too, right? I guess I always forget because like you don't see greenery everywhere, but like when you realize it's not so green or not many life-like things around you, you're like, oh, it's kind of because a lot of people say like in the Midwest, for example, it's flat, right? We have a lot of terrain, right? We go up hills, down hills, and you can kind of see a lot of it from different places. And like you said, the ferry is a really cool spot because you can see both the backdrop of the Seattle skyline and the mountains sometimes. You're like, man, where do you get to see all this stuff together, right?
Well, that's why Washington is very similar to California in that way. Yeah. Like where I live, we can get the ocean is 30 minutes away. We have Tahoe 4 hours away. So very similar vibe. They both kind of track the same. You guys have the weather that
They do. Yeah.
you have to get used to, but how far is it to any mountains? Well, besides like Rainier, what's the closest from like North Seattle to go mountain biking or trail running? You know, I'm asking
I'd
for
say-
myself here.
Right, 100%. I would say you've got Snoqualmie and what do you call Stevens are probably the closest from North Seattle. You can go to Crystal, but that's kind of goes a little further south. If you hit those two, probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending, give or take on like obviously conditions and timing. But I'd say, yeah, it's not too far. It's one of those things where you can easily, whenever we go on the mountains for skiing and snowboarding, that's probably about what we do is try to get in the morning, get out there before all the traffic hits, and you can be on the mountain. In your case, mountain bike, I hear it's really cool trail, so you definitely should check it out.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I mean, you might have to visit a site and then just so happen to go to the mountain one of the next days.
We might possibly have, so we bought this property in West Seattle. It's a flip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it came with 2 lots.
Oh.
And so now we're in planning on the front lot. It feels like it's a city street, but it feels private. It was a dirt road, completely overgrown. We paved it. And as you go up the street to the left, we have a 6,800 square foot lot. And so we're looking into planning. It's got some things we have to work through on feasibility. So we're kind of going through that. But if it can play out, we might be able to build 2 new units and possibly a 2-bedroom, 760 square foot unit. And if that's the case, that's the crash pad.
Yeah.
Let's go out there and see if we can handle it kind of thing.
There you go. Hey, midterm rentals and short terms work pretty well sometimes.
Yeah, we're thinking of going that route, making it into a short term. I don't know how it would be seasonality in that location.
Sure.
We'll see. I don't know. I really love this location. I would have bought the main house. The main house is amazing.
Right.
It's so private and so cool, and it's got trees, and you can see to the Seattle skyline
Nice. Okay.
from it. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
beautiful.
I was going to say, just I think any pocket of that West Seattle, if you have that, like you said, if you can see the skyline or even the mountains, it's pretty good spots to have for, like you said, some type of non-long-term rental. I know I have a friend of mine that has something in that area, and theirs on midterm, so anything 30 days or greater. But on the summers, they have looked towards doing short term because as like people are looking to just be in an area that's nice and can be pretty close and frequent to the areas that they want to go to. So, I mean, maybe that's part of your goal, right? Do a little blend of what makes sense for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Where do you work as an agent? What office are you in?
Yeah, so I'm up here in the Edmonds office for Windermere. It's pretty well known in the Washington area. I'd say probably Northwest. So
I'm going to put all your information in the show notes so they can contact you, and then I'll get all your socials in there too.
sounds
So people can get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Take them out, show them. I think too, for anybody that wants to do this type of strategy, you really do want to work with an agent that's actually doing these types of projects.
Very true.
It's actually probably the number one thing you need to do when you think you're going to go down this route is you have to have somebody that understands it. You're not looking for, and there's nothing against agents, other agents, there's amazing agents all over, but there's just a lot of moving parts, and you need somebody that's gone through it, that knows how to basically run some numbers and help you put a team together, a high level team in a short period of time, and they can hold your hand through some of it. It's such a important thing to have.
Absolutely. I would definitely say because even just the framework, right? Because you understand you've had to go through these processes yourself. And also there's part of it that a lot of people forget is the feasibility of these projects. You can probably get a good inkling of how it's all going to work out other than actually doing the actual tests and things from your agent or the people in your team, right? You and I know now you can look for water, your sewer, your electricity. Is there any slopes? Whatever those might be, like you can kind of spot those things on site without having to hire someone extra just yet. And then also the context, right? Hey, we need an arborist because there's a tree. Okay, great. We already have an arborist, right? So it already has the built-in function of the person that's going to look out for your best interest because we're fiduciaries, right? And the second part is you've got people already in line from what they've already done it, right? So they can help vet those processes well in advance so that it's much smoother and hopefully easier to get through this whole process.
Yes. Use a investor-friendly agent.
There you go.
Yeah.
Someone that knows what they're doing, you know?
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you jumping on today. Really good to hear part of your story, and I'll continue to hear your story, which is good.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. I appreciate it again for having me. It's really cool. Like you said, it's just a great conversation to get to know one another more and at the same time explore why it is so cool and possible, right? Because we have cool people like this in our community. So
Definitely. Let's leave it at that. Edmond, you have a good day, and I'll be talking to you soon.
sounds great. Thanks, Ewan.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you for tuning into our show, where we hope you found inspiration and gained valuable insights. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to stay updated on our latest episodes, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and share it with others who might benefit from it. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more candid conversations and breakthrough moments in the future. Until next time, take care and keep exploring new ideas and strategies.